Today, we'll learn everyone's favorite topic, fractions. They say 5 out of 4 people don't like fractions. Did you get the joke? That's okay. At the end of this video, you will not be that afraid of fractions anymore. They're not that bad if you understand what they mean and how to operate with them. We deal with fractions on an everyday basis, not even realizing that. And I will show you what fractions mean and what operations we can do with fractions. We'll go over how to add and subtract fractions with the same denominators and different denominators, how to multiply fractions and divide fractions.
We use whole numbers when we need to count objects or whole things, such as cars, books, people, chairs, and so on. But when we need to count a part of a whole, we use fractions. Let's look at these pictures. The first picture represents 1/8 of a pizza. The second picture represents 1/2 of a glass. You can say a glass is half empty or half full. The third picture represents an inch. Sometimes we need to measure to the 16th of an inch. So this part will represent 1/16th of an inch because an inch divided into 16 parts. Fraction consists of several parts: numerator, denominator, and the fraction bar. Numerator shows how many parts out of the whole we use. Denominator shows how many parts one whole is divided into. And fraction bar represents also division. For example, in the first picture, denominator shows that we divided the whole into 8 parts and we used 1 out of the 8. The second picture shows that the glass is half empty or half full. The third picture shows that the inch is divided into 16 small parts. If we measure something up to 5/16, that 5/16 will mean that we took 5 out of the 16 small parts. Let's say we have a box with 3 sections and we put 4 M&Ms in each section. We can say the box is 1/3 full because we used 1 out of the 3 sections. Now let's divide each of these sections in half. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections in the second picture, and 2 of those sections are filled. But we have the same quantity. We still have 4 M&Ms. These 2 fractions are called equivalent fractions. 1/3 is equal to 1/6. We don't have to draw a picture every time we need to create equivalent fraction. All we need is just multiply 1/3 by 2/2. 2/2 is 1. Because if we have the whole divided into 2 parts and we take 2 out of the 2, basically we used 1 whole. By multiplying a fraction by 1, we don't change a quantity of a fraction. It's still 1/3. But it multiplied into 1 times 2. 2, 3 times 2, 6. 1/3 is equal to 2/6. We can also reduce fraction. 2/6 can be reduced by 2/2. Basically, we divide numerator by 2 and denominator by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3. We learned how to create equivalent fraction and how to reduce fraction. We're going to use this knowledge further on. Let's say we have 2 apples. Everyone uses pizza, we'll use apples. And we divided these 2 apples into 4 parts. Let's make one apple green and the other apple red. But they both divided into the same 4 parts. And from the first apple, we're going to take 1/4 of an apple. Out of the second apple, we're going to take 2/4 of an apple. So, how many pieces of apples did we eat? Well, 1/4 plus 2/4. The pieces are the same because both apples are divided into equal parts. So we ate 1 plus 2, 3/4 of an apple. We can put these parts into the first apple to see that they are the same. 1, 2, 3/4 of an apple. If fractions have the same denominators, we don't need to change denominator. We just add numerators. Let me write the rule. To add or subtract fractions with the same denominators, add numerators and keep the denominator. Let's say we have 2 apples. The first apple we divided into 2 parts, and we are going to eat 1 part out of 2, 1/2 of an apple. And the other apple we will divide into 4 parts, and we are going to eat 1 out of those 4 parts. Can we now say that we ate 2/4 of an apple? Well, no, because the parts are different in size. What we need to do is we need to make them the same size. Or we have to write these 2 fractions with the same denominators. If we divide the first apple into 2 more parts, then we will have 1/2/4, which is equal to the same quantity of 1/2. Remember how to build equivalent fraction? Multiply by 2/2. The first fraction becomes 2/4 plus the second fraction is 1/4. Now they have the same denominator. Now we can add numerators. 2 plus 1, keep the denominator, 4 is equal 3/4. Now we can say we ate 3/4 of an apple because these 3 pieces represent the same quantity. To add or subtract unlike fractions, fractions with different denominators, write each fraction as equivalent with common denominator, and then add or subtract numerators. Keep common denominator. Let's start with the first example. 2/5 plus 4/15. Common denominator is the number that both 5 and 15 will go into. We can find it by listing multiples. Multiples of 5 would be a first multiple, 1 times 5, 5. The second multiple, 2 times 5, 10. Third multiple, 5 times 3, 15. Fourth multiple, 5 times 4, 20, and so on. Multiples of 15. First multiple is 15. Second, 15 times 2, 30, 45. We don't need to list more multiples because 15 is the least common multiple. It's the smallest number that both 5 and 15 will go into. So the common denominator of 2/5 and 4/15 would be 15. The second fraction has denominator 15, so the numerator will not change, 4. The second fraction has denominator 5. To get from 5 to 15, we need to multiply 5 by 3. But remember, whatever we do with the denominator, we have to do the same thing with the numerator. So we multiply it by 3 also. So the first fraction turns to 6/15. Now we can add 6 plus 4, keep the denominator, is equal to 10/15. Did you notice anything? Yes, 10 and 15 have common factor, 5. We can divide both of them by 5. 10 by 5 is 2, 15 by 5 is 3. The answer is 2/3. Let's solve the second problem. 4/7 minus 4/5. 7 and 5 don't have any common factors. So we will need to multiply them by each other, 7 times 5 and 5 times 7, to get the common multiple. Common multiple of 5 and 7 is 35. Now we multiply 7 by 5. We need to multiply 4 by 5 as well. 20. And the second fraction is multiplied by 7 over 7. Always multiply by 1 because we don't want to change the fraction. We don't want to adjust the quantity. Therefore, whatever we multiply denominator, we have to multiply the numerator. 4 times 7, 28. Now we can subtract numerators. 20 minus 28, keep the denominator, equal to 20 minus 28. Think about dollars. If you have $20 and you need to spend 28, you will have to borrow the $8 from somewhere. If we borrow, that would be negative 8 over 35. That is the answer. We can also write it as negative 8 over 35 and put the negative sign next to the whole fraction. Let's look at the third problem. Negative 3/4 minus 5/7. 4 and 14 have common factor, 2. So I'm going to write prime factorization of 4. It's 2 times 2. And prime factorization of 14 is 2 times 7. I want to show you different methods to find common multiple. Least common multiple of 4 and 14 will have common factor 2 multiplied by leftover factors times another 2 times 7 equal to 28. So we need to write both fractions as equivalent fractions with the denominator 28. And I'm going to put this negative sign next to the numerator. From 4, we get by multiplying 4 by 7. And of course, we multiply 3 by 7 as well. Well, it's negative 3. Negative 21. And then from 14 to 28, we get by multiplying 14 by 2. And of course, we multiply 5 by 2 as well. Negative 21 over 28 is equivalent to negative 3/4 minus 10 over 28, which is equivalent to 5 over 14. Add numerators, negative 21 minus 10, keep the denominator. Negative 21, think about it as negative $21 on your credit card that you owe to the bank, and you need to spend another $10. Well, now we put on a credit card negative 31 over 28. That would be the answer if we want to leave it as improper fraction. Or we can write it as mixed number. 31 divided by 28. 28 goes into 31 one time, and the difference is 3. So we can write this number, I'm running out of space here, as negative 1. 28 goes into 31 one whole time, and 3 out of 28 left. To multiply fractions, we multiply numerators, then multiply denominators. We don't have to worry about common denominators. All we need to do at the end when we multiply fractions, or at the beginning before multiplying, make sure that the fractions reduced to the lowest terms to make our calculations easier. So let's look at the following example. 6 over 7 times 14 over 27 is equal to multiply the numerators and then multiply denominators. 6 times 14 divided by 7 times 27. Wait, it's going to be a lot of multiplication if you multiply big numbers. Let's try to reduce it. I can see that 7 and 14 have common factors of 7, meaning we can divide 7 by 7 and 14 by 7. Remember, we divided it by 7 over 7, which is equal to 1. so we don't change the quantity. 7 divided by 7 is 1. 14 divided by 7 is 2. These are my leftover factors. I circled them so I won't forget about writing them at the end. And then 6 and 27 have common factor of 3, meaning we can divide both of them by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 27 divided by 3 is 9. Let's write down leftover factors. 2 times 2 divided by 1 times 9. Oh, that is so much easier. 2 times 2 is 4. 1 times 9 is 9. See how easy it is to multiply fractions when they are reduced. So my suggestion is reduce first if possible and then multiply. And if you did not see that we can reduce it right at the beginning, that we would be multiplying 6 times 14, it's 84, 7 times 27, 189, and then we will need to look for common factors to reduce 84 and 189. The first common factor that would come in mind would be 3. Remember, always check 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, the first prime numbers. 84 is divisible by 2, but 189 is not divisible by 2. Let's check 3. 8 plus 4 is 12, so it is divisible by 3. 1 plus 8, 9 plus 9, 18, so 189 is also divisible by 3. 84 divided by 3 is 28, and 189 divided by 3 is 63. And then perhaps we can divide them by 7, and we will get 4 over 9, which is the same result. It might take a little longer, but in both cases, we get the same answer. To divide fractions, a over b divided by c over d, we multiply by the reciprocal. Reciprocal is switched fraction. We switch numerator and denominator. Reciprocal of c over d would be d over c. They're not equal because it's going to be a different quantity, but d over c is called reciprocal of c over d. The first fraction stays the same, a over b. The division is changed to multiplication, and the second fraction is changed to the reciprocal, d over c. And then we multiply them using the rules for multiplication. So let me write the rule here. To divide fractions, multiply by the reciprocal. Let's look at the following example. 5/16 divided by 3 over 4. We are going to follow this rule. 5/16, the first fraction, does not change. The second fraction will change to reciprocal, and division sign will change to multiplication. Remember, in math, everything has to be balanced. Whenever we change one thing, we have to balance it with another thing. So we change division to multiplication and second fraction to reciprocal. Reciprocal of 3 over 4 is 4 over 3. Now we can use the rule for multiplication and multiply numerators. 5 times 4 divided by multiply denominators. 16 times 3. Wait, before we multiply, let's see if we can reduce anything here. I can see that 4 and 16 can be reduced by 4. We can divide both of these numbers by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 16 divided by 4 is 4. Now we multiply 5 times 1 divided by 4 times 3, which is equal to 5 over 12. I hope that was helpful. In the next video, we will look at decimals. Stay tuned.